Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Hire Moment Mastermind. I'm Shira Lothar, joined by my colleague, my regular colleague, Vern Schellinger. I'm not sure if Alki Thompson will be joining us, but we also have a special guest today, Eve Wong, who's also in our coaching world. Vern and I are both career coaches, as is Eve. And so she's going to also be able to offer her thoughts to our call today. So I think several of you, raise your hand if you came to this meeting because of yesterday's JCA meeting that I was on. Yeah. Okay. I think there'll be a few of you there. We're delighted to have you all. This is an open Q&A for all job seekers, all professional job seekers. And what we do here is we kind of popcorn around the room and have folks share whatever questions, right, are on your heart and mind. Time permitting, we will also do some networking, be that sort of popcorning and saying, okay, everybody kind of share your lane in your community, or if we can do some breakouts into Zoom rooms and have you all network with each other. We kind of keep this organic and flowy depending upon who we have and how the conversation goes. So with that, I'm going to do something a little different right now. We don't normally do this. I'd like for all of you to grab a sheet of paper, or you can use your computer. I'd like you to write down the biggest challenge that is stymieing you in your job search right now. What is it? What is the biggest challenge that is stymieing you in your job search right now? Take 30 seconds and do that. Biggest challenge stymieing you in your job search right now. Okay. And now I'd actually like you to type it into chat. This is a little different. We don't normally do it this way. Normally we just sort of popcorn and do a vocal, but I kind of like to see what it is. So if you could just take a second and jot it into chat, Vern and I will monitor and see if we have any themes that come up today that'll help to prompt our conversation. Just want to give everybody a voice here because I know different people, feel more or less comfortable speaking up, and chat, I think, is a good way for us to think about it. Okay. Networking and interviewing, lack of jobs in higher education, finding a target company using AI, number of people you're competing with, figuring out what other industries to move into, resume optimization in AI world, networking and interviewing. The riff I was part of a couple weeks ago, early days. Okay, good. Lack of jobs in your area. Julie, do you mean, is this the Julie who's been with us mostly? The jobs in your sector, you mean? Yeah. Yeah. Folks who want significant sector experience. Let's see. Global health area has been devastated by HR cuts. Okay. Yeah. So these are the kinds of things that we hear, right? Whether it's sectoral shifts, whether it's networking, interviewing, resume optimization. Interesting. I'd like to actually start with the resume thing because I am a career coach and do write resumes. And I have recently been using AI in supporting my clients with resume development. I've learned something interesting. AI is just a tool. We know that. It's like in the mid 90s when we all learned to use a PC. It's just a tool. Use it in the ways that you need to use it for yourself. And I, as a resume writer, have been leaning in, right, to how to best use it. And I'd like to pass on a tip for you all. That's okay. So look, what's happened recently is that a lot of folks, and people have told you, hey, the best way to customize your resume, which you do need to customize your resume, is to upload the job description, upload your resume, and go put this together. Anybody been taught to do that? Raise your hand. Just hi if you've been taught. Okay. So that's not a bad thing. In fact, actually, that's a great first step. It's not the only step. Let me say that again. It is a first step. It is not the only step. And the reason it's a first step and not an only step is because AI, as smart as it is, it's still just an intern. It will only do what you tell it to do. And so a job description is not just a bunch of words. It actually has some themes to it. And most job seekers don't necessarily realize that Because if you're just looking at a job description from top to bottom and saying, okay, well, it's got a title, it's got these qualifications, it's got these responsibilities. All right, let me just mush it together. Not necessarily enough, because job descriptions are written by employers who actually have in their mind a certain direction they want to take the job. I'll give you an example. So a few days ago, last week, I guess, I was coaching somebody, and she is she's a vice president of marketing and communications. Well, she shared a job description with me saying, Shira, should I apply for this? As some of my clients do. And I looked at it and I read it. I really, really read it. And turns out there was several bullets in there that led me to believe that this job was leaning into media relations. It's a very specific type of communications function. And if anybody knows that communications marketing function, it's pretty diverse in terms of all the different kinds of ways the job could go. But I was like, oh, and she's like, oh, she didn't even notice that actually was a theme. I said, we're going to recraft your resume in that direction, because I could see strategically that's where the employer was emphasizing. So when we went into AI, it wasn't just upload, make the match. I actually had to prompt it, and I had to say to it, look, I'd like you to take this resume and the accomplishment stories and create watch this, outcome-based, write this down, everybody, outcome-based accomplishment stories. That's the other thing, not just accomplishment stories. It'll write it any which way. Outcome-based, where you start with the outcome. And I had to tell it, please shape it toward a media relations direction. And we iterated back and forth until finally it was something that actually I thought, oh, this is actually acceptable. And not only that, I had to prompt it and say, please label every single story with a competency that matches what is in the job posting, and even prompting it around certain kinds of things. It'll only do what you tell it to do. Okay. So you have to have like with everything in AI, you have to have a strategic lens. You can't just hit a button and assume it's going to know what to do. Okay. You have to really, really analyze this job posting. And while I'm on the topic of analyzing job postings, you have to analyze it to even see if this is a job you should be applying for. Just pause right there. You can't just be interested. You have to be qualified. This is a tough one, right? Because when you look at a job description, it's very easy to go, oh, yes, I'm interested. Oh, I wanted to. The employer is the one, we always say this on this call, the employer is the one mitigating their risk. They are risk averse. They want what they want. And when they put a job out to the whole wide world on a job posting, that means that they are looking for the unicorn. And that's challenging. But as I shared on yesterday's call, for those of you who weren't there, I spoke to a group called JCA, and I talked about career rebranding. And I said that employers in their risk mitigation, if you apply to a job on a job board, you're now competing with hundreds of other people. You've got to be the unicorn candidate. If you find the job through the hidden job market, which is 80% of jobs are not posted on the job board, and you do it through networking, now your reputation is preceding your resume. Now the employer actually tends to be more open-minded about you being a non-traditional candidate, and is more willing to consider you creatively, right? So if you're making a pivot of any sort, you do it through your networking, there's a greater likelihood that the employers make, oh, okay, that's all right. It's not a perfect fit, but let me consider you anyway. And let me actually put a PS to something I said yesterday. And I think I mentioned this on the last call. So case in point, I was just working on a search for a VP of finance for a trade association. And as a recruiter, I did not use the job boards, didn't post. I didn't want the hundreds of resumes. I went to my own LinkedIn network and I found people, and I put in, and by the way, I'm sharing this with you in particular. You got to listen, because you can be me on the flip side. You can be me on the flip side. So I want you to, so I'm admitting some people here. What I did as a recruiter is I went into the search bar. You can do this yourself in the upper left-hand corner. And I typed in Vice President Finance Association, and up came all of these people whose headlines were in that vein. So I created a little fish pond of all these different people who had that title and from that industry. Then I just started reaching out. Hey, I've got this opportunity. Who do you know? So here's the hidden job market in action. A guy named Jeff wrote back and he said something to the effect of, well, the job's not right for me, but I'd like to refer my friend Chris. So Chris writes me, he sends me his resume. I look at his resume. Mind you, I wasn't dealing with 500 resumes. I was dealing with a small pool. I could take the time to really listen. Everybody, you've got to listen to what I'm saying. I'm not saying this for my health. You've got to hear what I'm saying. This is so on germane for all of you. So I'm sitting there and I'm able to like really read the resume. And I looked at his resume and he was good on the skill side, what I call the lane. Okay. It's his profession. The community, meaning he came from a different background than my client. But I was like, you know what? That's all right. Let me check him out. I interviewed this guy. Instantly, he became my top candidate. This guy had a culture fit that blew me out of the water. And I never would have been able to vet him had he been one of 500 candidates on a job board. I would have overlooked him because he didn't match all the everything. But I got a chance to meet him. He quickly became my top candidate, and I am pleased to announce he got the offer and accepted the offer yesterday. Okay. And right before this call, talked to the CEO, right? And he's going to be onboarding in a month. Okay. Now, why am I telling there was a lot of richness in that story for all y'all. A lot there. Okay. Number one, hidden job market. What did Chris do? Chris went to let his own colleagues know, people who do what he does, who does what he does. His, what I'll call your competitive. So if you are a customer service rep, if you are a financial analyst, if you are a project manager, if you are marketing, whatever you are, whatever you do, go after your colleagues who do exactly what you do, because they are likely to hear about opportunities from people like me where the job is not right for them, but it could be right for you. This Jeff Chris thing happens every day. So there were two things there. He went after somebody, he let people know in his colleagues what he does. And also he had a relationship with Jeff. That's the second thing. So people who are close to you relationally, who are also close to you professionally, are going to be some of your best referrals. That's one thing. The second thing is you can do this reverse recruiting for yourself by going to that search bar, putting in the search bar the title of what you do, hitting the first level button, and see if there's any colleagues in your network who do what you do and are close to you relationally, because oftentimes, again, they're going to be the Jeff. They're going to be able to refer you opportunities. Is this making sense? I'm hoping this is encouraging for you, because this should help you to narrow down your networking and have the right opportunity come around where it's a fit, where it's something that the employer is going to feel like you're going to be a really great fit for, because that's the point here. You are helping to solve their business challenges. Yes, you got to put food on the table. Yes, you want to have career fulfillment. Absolutely. You are the other side of this equation. Yeah. But they are too. They got their business needs and you've got your career needs, and you want to make sure that there's an alignment. And if you're trying to shift and you're trying to do something a little bit different, for you to be a creative hire, as we say, you really, really need to do that through reputation, through relationship, where somebody's going to consider you for something a little bit more creative. That's why the networking is so important. Picking up what I'm putting down? All right, so I'm off my pedestal here. Love to hear from Vern and Eve if she'd like to say anything.
Yeah, well, Shira, the other thing that, while you mentioned I was a career coach, the other thing you didn't mention, that a lot of time in my career was spent
HR.
in the HR seat.
That's right.
So I was on the other end, as Shira said. I was somebody who might have called Shira and said, "I'm looking for XYZ," and then I was in the seat where looking at resumes, going through and deciding who to interview. And I can tell you that when someone in my network called me and said, "Vern, I know you're looking for this job. You should interview Bob Brown," I interviewed Bob Brown
Right.
because of my relationship with that person.
That's right.
So it's just another facet of networking. And in Shira's case, think about how random that was. She just reached out, and Chris, it wasn't right for Chris, and
Wasn't
she
right for Jeff and
it
referred
was
Chris.
right
Yeah.
for Jeff. And so,
Yeah.
and all of you know, in applying to the job boards, and Shira and I and Elke say this all the time, they're flooded. They're just, what are your odds when someone posts a job
2%
online?
now. 2 to 3%. That's it. That's what the stats are saying. 2 to
Yeah.
3% success rate in online applications. Mhm.
So, if you're sitting in the HR seat and you post a job and within, 24 hours, you got 500 resumes, and
Mhm.
then you post the next day, your resume is not even going to see the light of
Yeah,
day.
that's
So
right.
unless you're lucky enough to find a posting that fits your skills and experience, and it just hit, and you are part of the first maybe 100 resumes, then, and it's still
Maybe.
100 resumes.
Maybe. Right.
So, they're not going to interview 100 people.
Mm.
Uh, so it's just it's so difficult through the job boards to, not that it doesn't happen, but it's rare that you're going to land a job just through applying for a job on a job board.
And so the relational side of things, in fact, if it's okay, I'm just going to quickly pull up a couple of just a couple of slides from my presentation yesterday, because I think this is going to be a visual cue. Some of you again might have seen this, but I call this the family tree of networking. Okay, and I'm just going to show you a couple of things here, which is I think going to be really helpful. So it's leveraging your professional family. And I said to land informational interviews, it could be land any kind of interview, but particularly if you're just trying to network. And I say that there are kinds of people that should be in your family network: people with whom you have a trusted relationship and people who understand you professionally. Two different columns. And I call it the twin siblings, first cousins, and second cousins. Okay, so here we go. So it's parallel. So first, it's the people with whom you have a relationship. These twins, right, are your closest people. I say people who know you by voice, people who would dance at your wedding or help you move. You know those people, right? Okay. Your sibling is somebody who knows you by first name. Okay. So somebody with whom you have a relationship, close colleague like Vern and I or Eve, whatever. Hey, Vern, would you help me help you? Of course. It's a close relationship. A first cousin is somebody you have a past relationship with, a very warm connection. It doesn't matter if it's 15 years, 25 years, blast from the past. Hey, how's it going? As long as you left in good terms, they should be delighted to hear from you. And the second cousin is a past acquaintance, friendly but not close. You have to remind them of your first and last name. Right here, let me back up. Twins and siblings. These are the people who want to help you. They're your biggest champions. Whether you were a former colleague, friend, whoever it is, they are your champions. They will literally lean in and proactively want to help you. So, same column for people in your professional. I said aspirational profession. I gave this talk yesterday to people who were career pivoting, but it could be for anybody. People in your aspirational or your current profession. So again, this is the Jeff Chris thing. Twins are people who do what you want to do. Your competitive mate. They're your best referral source. Siblings are somebody who does something similar to you, understand what you do. You get the thing here. Same thing here. These people on this side are best capable of helping you. Get it? Do what you do or do something similar, are best capable. And now if you think about this on the professional and the relationship side, this is the best intersection. The people who want to help you and the people who are best capable of helping you, the Chris Jeff thing, because they were friendly. I don't know if they were former colleagues, but they knew each other, right? So Jeff was like, call my friend Chris. Relational, professional. If you want to maximize your networking time, go after that. And particularly if you're going to do a career pivot, if you have somebody who you're relationally close to, who's in the new lane or new community that you're trying to get into, who's right in there or best capable, again, you're likely to have somebody champion your candidacy. That's the point. Does this make sense? It is all about being very, very intentional about your networking. Okay. So, Eve, does anything, I know because you've started some career coaching, anything you'd like to add to all this?
I absolutely agree with what you're saying. I received a call from a former colleague, and he said, "Hey, do you know of anybody in international recruiting?" And I said, "I've got somebody in mind." And by the way, if you know of any operational opportunities, let me know. And I was brought in the next day and they hired me right there on the spot. So you never know what those conversations are going to bring up. The other thing I'll mention too is don't be hesitant to reach out to folks. You may think that they don't know you, they don't remember you. Bernie, who's on this call, she knows that I reached out to somebody who I hadn't worked with in 10 years. I said, hey, I can see that you're connected with this organization. What can you tell me? And come to find out, she was sitting in the interim role that I was applying for. So, and I figured this woman didn't know who the heck I was, and she absolutely remembered me. So, I was a little intimidated to reach out to her, I'll be perfectly honest, because she was at a much higher level than I was. But you never know. You just keep working those contacts and those connections, and it's amazing what could happen.
So let me get to encourage you here. Think about it like this. Because the employer has their business needs, they are trying to find you just as much as you're trying to find them. Let me give you another hot example from yesterday. I got all these little examples. They kind of pop up in my world. So yesterday, I was working with an employer. The CEO's name is Julie, and she got a tiny little nonprofit. And I've been helping her with different things. And she has a new kind of operational kind of position that she's looking for. She's had an executive assistant for a while. She's decided to level it up to like a chief of staff, but she needs this very unusual kind of person who's going to do strategic, but detail, kind of part-time, but she doesn't know, she has money. It's a whole thing. Okay. Very unusual niche kind of thing, especially because she's thinking kind of part-time. Hard to find these things. As it turns out, I was talking with her in the morning. That afternoon, yesterday afternoon, I told her, I said, oh my gosh, I said, I'm going to have my first career coaching session with a woman named Natalie. And I said, Julie, I said, I think Natalie could be the unicorn because she's like doing consulting, just launching, and she was shifting from meeting planning into operations and all these different things. I said, Julie, this could be. So I did my coaching session for 2 hours with Natalie. And at the end of it, I'm like, I think this could work. The three of us are going to have a meeting on Monday morning at 10. Hidden job market, Because I knew Julie, I knew Natalie. I'm like, could be a connection here. Okay. This can happen for you, but you have to be thinking about what are the problems I can help employers solve. That's the kicker here. That's why they hire you. They hire you to solve their problems. Here's Julie getting all these problems, and Natalie's got all these skill sets. I happen to be in the middle, but it doesn't have to be me. It could be your friend or your colleague who's sitting in the middle saying, oh, wait, I know somebody with a problem. I know somebody who can provide a solution. You guys do this all the time, don't you? You need a new hairdresser. You need a nail tech. You need a dentist. You need a doctor. You need a landscaper. What do you do? Who do you call? Everybody, who do you call? Your friends, your neighbors, your colleagues. Does anybody know a good fill in the blank? It is the same thing. Employers are doing that all the time, but that means you need to be in their network. And so proactively, you go and find the people who are in the sphere, right, that you want to play in. And then hopefully, Lord willing, right, this synergy happens. Head nods, good? Yeah.
Yeah, Shira, there's a couple of questions in
Please.
the chat.
Go for it. Do you want to read them, Fern?
Sure. Joanne's asking, I've been away from my core expertise for a number of years.
Yeah.
Owing to caregiving.
Yeah.
I'm now beginning my job search, and if anticipation of biased against owning to the gap. We've heard this before.
We have.
Yeah.
For sure. Vern, do you want to address this first, or I'm happy to?
Well, again, the key thing here is simply to be honest with whoever you're speaking to and to the employer that, you can explain the gap, and it's not unusual in today's world
Right.
that this type of gap exists.
Correct.
And then hopefully the employer is going to, you can focus on your expertise and why you think you're a good fit for this particular role. Again, I'm assuming you're going to get to the point of in an interview, but you use that same communication throughout the whole process.
So yes, and optics also, so there's the qualitative, like in the interview, you talk about it. There's also an optics thing here. And I would like to give you a retail example. So does anybody eat Lay's potato chips here? Raise your hand. Anybody? Okay. All right. My husband loves Lay's potato chips. Now, Lay's potato chips used to have for many years, if you remember the commercial, remember what they said, you can't only eat just one. Do you remember this? Yeah, can't only, and so what they were doing is, it's so addictive. Oh my gosh, you're going to love it. You're going to eat the whole bag. So it was a week ago, I think it was. We were in the grocery store. I said, I want to get my husband a little bag of Lay's. So I go potato chip aisle and I look there right in the corner because it's Lay's, they got the whole thing. And I look at the bag, the yellow bag. We all know the yellow Lay's potato chip bag. And I'm looking at it and I stopped and I go, wait, this doesn't look normal. It doesn't look normal. And I said, this is a great story. Get the bag. And it was kind of a darker yellow color. The potato chips that they showed on the bag weren't the normal kind of thin looking. It almost looked like a kettle chip kind of thing. And the bag was looking a little different. I took it off, like, is this normal Lay's? I'm like, all right, we'll see. My husband was there, like, we'll see. He opens the bag at home. Yep, normal Lay's. But then I almost want to we still have it. I want to show this to you. But we took the bag and I looked at it and I turned it over and I'm like, oh my goodness, they changed the whole branding. If you look at it, and there was a Super Bowl commercial about this too. They have this picture of an old farm with the potato, and it says something like it's been in business for 80 something years and all this kind of old fashioned kind of thing. I was like, and I'm a marketer type of person. I was like, this is so cool. Like, look at them completely changing their brand. And then the Super Bowl. Did anybody see the Super Bowl commercial? It made you cry. This commercial was about this elderly man who's giving his potato farm, handing it over to his daughter. They're in the farm picking the potatoes. It's a whole thing, and they're hugging and they're crying, and it's all this stuff. And I found out the other day from a marketing client, I talked about this, and he said the reason why they did this is because Lay's figured out that moms didn't know that Lay's potato chips were made from real potatoes. They thought it was fake. So now they have this whole thing about, no, it's from real potatoes. So why am I saying all this? Because this is a rebranding for them. You all can do rebranding, but you have to have this relational connection with people to help them understand what you're doing. So go back to your resume. The real estate, your resume is just an advertising document. So that if you look at your resume as an advertising document, what real estate are you giving to your background? Just like I said earlier with this woman, the comms lady, the real estate we gave on her new resume for that media relations is a media relations job resume. The whole thing looks like media, or 75% of it looks like media relations. If you've got a gap, that means that you need to reframe your resume around this. In your case, it says Joanne, your old, your old skill set. Give very little real estate to, you're going to mention it, but don't give a half a page to your home care stuff. Give a little bit, just mention it. It's part of your resume. That's okay. A couple lines, but the rest of it, have some meaty examples in your former sector. Have the top of your resume say, hey, I don't know what your sector is. I don't know what it is. I'm going to make it up. I'm going to say it's education professional, blah, 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 right? You're rebranding your Lay's potato chips. You're going from it's so tasty brand to, hey, it's healthy brand. It's a potato, right? It's all about the framing. You didn't say anything inaccurate at all. It's still a potato chip. It's still your background. It's still your resume. You're not making anything up. You're just re-emphasizing. You're emphasizing what is relevant to the employer. And what's relevant to the employer is all these related skills to their job. What's less relevant to them is your home care work. it's still it accounts for your time, but you're not making a big deal because that's not what they care about. What they care about is what you used to do. Does that make sense?
And hopefully that, while obviously the caretaking is a huge part of what you've been doing, hopefully you've stayed in somewhat touch with your field of expertise, and you're up to speed. And obviously, if you're applying for a job, you're going to do the hard work to do the research and look at the job description and think of the stories that you're going to be able to tell, if you're lucky enough to get an interview and get into the interviewing process. The other question, which is again a common question, Shira, and Yuja, am I pronouncing that right?
Anuja.
Okay. I reached out to someone recently who I'd interviewed with for a role several years ago. Same job was posted, so I reached out to them again on LinkedIn, letting them know I applied for the position, but haven't heard back. Should I reach out to them again?
Yeah, this is a great one. This is another great kind of prompt or topic, Anuja. So thank you for bringing it up. I'm going to put this under the squeaky wheel category. So all bets are off these days. I would not have been talking like this like 7 years ago, but today we're in a different market. You got to be a little squeaky. I'm not saying write them every day, okay? But you got to be creative and you got to figure out who can you tap on the shoulder to let people know about your candidacy. And I don't just mean one person. I mean a bunch of people. I mean, you could reach out to the CEO if you need to. You could reach out to a colleague who knows somebody who knows a 33rd person. Reach out to 5 people. Reach out to anybody you can think of, whether you know them or not. Tap them on the shoulder. Because if you really, really, really feel that you are qualified, that they need to stand up and take notice of you amongst the 100,000 resumes. Okay. Knock, knock, knock. It really, really can be important these days. Again, 7 years ago, I would not have said this because it's just not couth. You shouldn't bother the employer. And you got to be the salmon swimming upstream. You got to push your way to the front because there's just way, way too much competition now. But again, don't just do it gratuitously. Don't just do it, because I'm interested. No, you have to be the person that you believe you've got all the things and you check it twice. And that because you can't cry wolf, right? You have to do it because it's really important that they need to see you. Then yeah, I'd reach out again. Renuja, I'd go on to LinkedIn. This is something you all can do. You can go to LinkedIn and in the search bar, pop in the name. If you haven't done this already, do it. Put in the name of the organization in the search bar, hit enter. And then what'll happen is the people who work there or in your network are going to come up. Your first, your seconds, and your thirds. There are no 4th level LinkedIn connections. So there are going to be people probably out of your network, but the people who are in your network are going to be there, especially if you have 1st level connection. That's great. If you have a 2nd level connection, leverage the person in the middle, right? If you're trying to reach out to Bob who works there and you got Susie who's in your intermediary, who's your 1st level connection, reach out to Susie and say, hey, I recently applied to this job. I understand you're connected to Bob. Hey, would you consider brokering an introduction? Would you consider forwarding my resume for extra consideration? Do it multiple ways. Have 5. In fact, years ago, I was sitting on a panel with several recruiters. We were talking to a bunch of HR job seekers, if you can imagine. And I was on this recruiter panel and this recruiter sat next to me and she said, a recruiter said this. She says, I had 5 people. She said, champion my resume to the hiring manager. She said, they were like crying uncle. Okay. We'll meet her. 5 people. And she got the job. All right. Have multiple people if you can reach out. You reach out. They reach out. Like Anuja, if this is a job that is really, 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 really spot on for you and you believe it in your heart of hearts, go for it. Again, don't ping people every day, but ping them, ping a second time, ping that person, ping the 30. Do it. All bets are off now. Go after it.
Can I just add quick things? I'm sorry. So the position's been open. I posted in the chat. It's been open. It was posted in December, and it still shows up in my LinkedIn feed. I still get reminders that they're still seeking applicants. So it's just interesting that it's been 2+ months And
That's not
maybe that,
surprising. That's not surprising because that
oh,
says, at least on the at the high level, that says to
yeah,
me, Alki and Vern, and probably you,
but they haven't found the unicorn yet.
that they haven't found the unicorn yet. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. They are trying to mitigate their risk and they're just looking for that special person, you know. If you believe you are that, I'd keep pushing to get yourself be the salmon that gets noticed.
And if I could jump in here, I wouldn't just continue trying to reach out to that person on LinkedIn. I would try to find other ways to
Ways.
get in there.
Yep.
Try to find a phone number, try to find an email. If you can go back to that original interview, if you can snag an email that they might have used back in the day, try to be detective.
Leverage a second, again, if you're a second level to them, if you've got a mutual first level connection, and to anybody there, not just that person. But again, when you look in that job, the list of people, there, I don't know, maybe 20 people show up in the LinkedIn profile, and maybe half of them you have second levels. Go after first level connections all over the place. Keep trying to get people to refer you from any angle. It could be somebody in a department that has nothing to do with this job, but they're in the company. Have somebody push your resume over. You got to be creative in how you get noticed these days, for sure. Is this helpful, guys? Okay, great. All right, so we have a lot of people that have joined us now, which is great. I love that this is a very full full crowd. I'd actually like to consider doing some networking here. I want to do that. Now, in the past, when we've done this, we've kind of popcorned around the room and everybody shares their lane in their community. And then we do it, we try to match people up. Because we have so many people today and I only want to give you guys some networking time, we're going to do the random thing, if that's okay. Okay. We're not going to assign. I'm just going to randomly put people together. I'd like to put people in rooms of about, I don't know, three or so. And what I'd like for you to do is just setting this up here. Okay. So let me just help you be thoughtful, okay, and how you have these conversations. So let me just go back over and share the concept again. Everybody write this down, please. It'll help with nomenclature. Your lane and your community. That's what you're going to state. Your lane is what you do. Either what you have done and you want to keep doing, or the lane that you're shifting into. So again, examples of a lane would be, I am a customer service representative. I am an association executive. I am a financial analyst. I'm a project manager. I am a cloud computing coder. Whatever. It's what I do. You could state the title. You could state the just general profession. It's what you do. Your community is who you do it for. Environmental nonprofits, higher education, financial services, SaaS companies, whatever. Now understand, not all of you have a distinct community. Some of you are just lane people. You're a marketer and you can do nonprofit marketing, for-profit marketing. You're just a marketer. That's fine. But if you do have a community, state it. Government contracting, whatever it is. Now I recognize some of you are former federal employees. Some of you have come out of the international development world. We do respect that the sectors have been shifted. Okay. So rather than this is important because you don't have a lot of time in this networking call. I want you all to be kind of succinct in how you share this with each other. So here's what everybody listen up. What I don't want you to do here for the sake of time, because we're going to do a windshield conversation, not a rear view mirror. Let me say that again. We're going to do a windshield conversation, not a rear view mirror. So I would ask all of you graciously to avoid sharing your backstory. Even though in networking conversation, you can do that. If you have 30 minutes with each other, go through the whole thing, fine. Not for this. For this, I want you to keep it windshield. Where are you going? What's the aspirational lane? And if necessary, aspirational community. Just share that. Then you want to ask each other, who do you know? Who do you know that could be a good fit? Now, if we had more time, we would, and you could do this if you want to. You can open up your own LinkedIn in the Zoom room and look at LinkedIn pretty quickly and see, hey, do I have a connection that might be helpful? And if you don't have the time for that, that's okay. Put in chat, share emails with each other, go have an offline chit chat. Okay. Have an offline Zoom coffee with the people on this call, and you can have the deeper conversation and look at your LinkedIn and see if you know anybody. But for now, for the, I don't know, 10 or so minutes, we're going to do this, this breakout. Just off the top of your head, is there anybody that you know in your network related to the lane or related to the community that you can broker an introduction for? And again, go offline, but here it is. If you're gonna commit to doing that, follow through. Get off the call immediately. Find the name of the person, broker an introduction. Hi, Susie, I'd like you to meet my new friend, Bob. Bob's looking for da-da-da-da. Love to have you guys network, go off and play, right? But you want to make sure that you're following. Is that good? Could I get some head nods around this? Okay, we're going to commit to following up 4 people. All right. So I have people assigned in 3 to 4 participants. Actually, no, 2 to 3. I'm putting the 2 to 3 per room. And let me see. And if I need to adjust it all, I will. But for now, let's go for those. Right. So I'm going to give you guys. Give me 1 second. I'm going to give you guys 10 minutes. Okay. And then we'll come back and then we'll do some call outs. All right. Ready, set, and I'm opening the rooms. Alki, you going to join somebody? Or are you going to stay here? I'll go ahead and I'll go. Do you want to join, or do you want me? Because I got one person in one room by himself. Should I move him?
If he knows who yeah.
Should I move him?
I can, well, do you feel it'll be helpful if
I think he could benefit from you. I talked to him yesterday. I think he could benefit from you. Thanks for your help. Can you see it?
No.
Oh.
I did, but I dismissed it.
Oh, okay. All right, you know what? That's all right. I'm just going to move this guy to a different room.
And my other meeting finished way early, so I figured I would pop in.
Okay.
I am kind of curious what these guys are talking about. I can guess, but
Great.
the big group.
Yeah. Hold on.